So Trevor Wallace is one of the funniest people on the internet. He's known for his parodies of people who own AirPods, drink White Claw, and who are named Kyle, among many others. Today we get to sit down and talk about the business behind some of the most viral sketches on the internet, where he finds his inspiration, and how you're able to do practically anything that you want on today's episode of...
Smash the like button.
Sure, but first we gotta thank our sponsor, StreamYard.
People always say they want to start making content, but for most, it's hard to get the ball rolling. And when you've never made a video before, it can be very difficult to know where to start.
I've seen firsthand that post-production could be one of the most daunting tasks for new creators. That's why I recommend for anyone thinking about getting into content creation that you start by using StreamYard. StreamYard is a live streaming studio platform that's perfect for people looking to get into content creation.
With StreamYard, you can create high-quality content right from your browser, and you can stream directly to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and several other platforms.
They even make it simple to brand and customize your videos before you even go live. You can even multi-stream to all of your social media platforms at once to be able to maximize your content's outreach. Whether you just want to start live streaming or easily record new content, StreamYard makes it simple to get professional and polished content every single time.
So get started for free today using our link down below, and you can start making high-quality content quickly and easy, like I said, for free with StreamYard.
Again, the link is down below in the description to get started today, and now let's get to the podcast. Trevor, thank you so much for meeting us in Vegas.
In a karaoke room.
In a karaoke
There's
room
been
of all
drugs done
spots.
in here.
You think so?
I think plenty.
so.
Copious amounts.
Yeah, dog.
Yeah.
Karaoke in Vegas.
Well, that explains it. I think we got to start because Jack has a funny story to tell
Oh,
you.
yeah. I didn't think
Please
we'd
do.
start off
Yeah.
with this. Okay, but
Jack
Trevor
introduced
Wallace.
himself twice to me today.
I did. I introduced. It was horribly embarrassing, but I did introduce
You got a
myself
nice
twice.
sweater on, so
Oh, thank you. I literally just got this. My grandma got it for me, so I appreciate that. Yeah.
Grandmas love sweaters.
They do love
They
sweaters.
wake up and
Did
they're
she
like,
make that
"Damn,
herself?"
let me get some
She did
cashmere."
not make this herself.
Oh,
No,
okay.
unfortunately
Mentally,
not.
she did.
She did. Put a lot of
Oh,
love.
you got a funny story.
Yeah, the funny story. So you actually performed at UCSB. I think this was like 2.5 years ago, probably. And I remember I showed up. The line was way too long. It was a free show. I knew I would
Yeah.
not make it in. So I was like circumnavigating my way throughout the line, trying to figure out if I could make it in. I definitely couldn't. I went around the venue, and while I was walking around the venue to try to find a place to sneak in, I found a door with a crack in it.
Yeah.
And I looked through this crack.
saw me.
And I saw you.
I remember this.
I remember
Do you
I saw
remember
you.
No, I remember the crack in the door, and I remember
Okay.
people like, because what it was is like, there's this comedy club they do it at Santa Barbara called Laughology. Students put it on.
Yeah.
And I would do it when I had like nothing. I would just do like 10-minute sets, and then there'd be a headliner. I would just do it to do it because I was early in the stand-up career. And then they booked me for this, and then it's like the stuff started taking off for me. And then I was like, you guys want me to do this? And they're like, let's do 2 shows. They're like, no, let's just stick with 1. And then the word got out, and like my demo is frat.
Yeah.
My demo is college. My demo is UCSB. It's like, that's Isla Vista. Those are my people right there.
Right.
So it sold in seconds.
Yeah.
Not sold because it was free.
Right.
I got paid like $20, but
That was it?
I don't know. At that point, I'm just doing comedy to just stay sharp and just do
Right.
like, just work out longer sets. And I forget how much it was. It wasn't a lot, but it's a really fun. All Los Angeles comedians have probably done like Laughology. It's a really fun show. So I remember I was in the back pacing, just going over my head. And then there's like cracks and there's like windows. People were like, oh, Trevor.
And then this guy shows up. So what happens, Jack?
Yeah. It wasn't weird, right? But I was like, yo, Trevor. And I was trying to get your attention. You looked at me, you smiled. I think you like got up and walked away. And then I continued walking around the venue, found a place in the back. Couldn't make it in.
Oh, really?
No, I could not make it in. The line was huge, dude.
Yeah.
Like there were so many people that couldn't make it in. You had a lot of fans there.
I think a lot of people. It was in a lecture hall.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people didn't know how big the lecture hall was. It wasn't very big. It maybe held like 200 or 300. So there's like 600 people in line. And mathematically,
That doesn't make
y'all ain't gonna
sense.
fit.
Right.
Unless you're sitting on laps. But
Right.
lucky for you guys, I have a show at the Mirage tomorrow. So come on
Oh,
out. I
there
got
we
your
go.
Tickets. Full
Nice.
circle.
All right, cool.
That's cool.
Thank you, man.
But yeah, the Santa Barbara's great.
But then you met up afterwards.
Yeah, I
didn't
met you afterwards, right? So there was like, you were doing a meet and greet. You're ever so
I?
gracious. Yeah, you were saying hello to everybody. You came outside, shook the hands of the fans, took some photos. And I went up to him like, hey man, I was that guy. That whispered to you. And you're like, yeah, that was a little weird, but cool. And then we took the photo and I was like, all right,
Do you have
cool.
the photo?
I do have the photo.
Let me see it.
I was looking for it this morning, and I think it was on my other phone, which I transferred to my laptop. I'll send it to you, okay? I got the photo.
You know what? We'll put it up on screen.
I'll put it up
Just
on the
pretend
screen.
like you're
Yeah, yeah.
reacting to
You'll
it right
see
now.
the
Be like,
photo,
oh, that's
because
a
I
cool picture.
genuinely want to know like what I remember you like with the outfit or whatever was
Yeah,
going on. But,
yeah.
But yeah, there's people up front.
So now I've met you 3 times.
Wow.
Not just
Today.
2.
Yeah, 3 of them today. Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you get started in all that?
I got started. I've always just loved comedy. Like, it's wild to say, but my mom found like something in like 3rd or 4th grade. It was like, "What's your dream job?" And like with the spelling, like Doodle Bob spelling, like I wrote comedian. I spelled it wrong. I think I spelled it with a K.
It's funny.
Which is pretty on brand because I still don't know how to spell it. But I like always just loved comedy. I grew up on like Jim Carrey and Robin Williams, and I just like that's all I cared about. I never. All my friends were like, "Do you see Braveheart? Do you see Titanic?" And I'm like, "No, it's not funny. It's sad."
Yeah.
You know. So I always was into that. And then when I was 17, my mom. It's a very Disney Channel story. My mom cut out something from the paper, and it said stand-up comedy workshop classes. And this was in Ventura, which is like 20 minutes.
Ah,
where I
Jack
grew
knows
up.
where that is.
I grew up there.
Really?
Yeah.
805 boy?
Yes. 805. 805 boy?
Yeah, Camarillo.
That's what I thought. I thought I knew that. Yeah, because people would talk about you in Ventura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Big deal in Camarillo.
Yeah.
It's me and somebody that was on Big Bang Theory and 2 baseball players, Delman Young, Ventura, comedy workshop classes. And then my mom cut it out on paper. And then anything your mom tells you to do at that age, you're like, I'm going to do this shit. Why am I going to do that? And then eventually some time went by, and I was like, you know what, maybe I should check this out. And I show up to this comedy club on a Saturday, and it's like me and like 6 other people trying to get into comedy. And there was a guy there, this guy Randy Lubis. He owned the comedy club, but he was teaching it. And there was like assignments. They'd be like, all right, here's a newspaper, write some jokes on it. And then I was writing some. He's like, it's pretty good. Like, how long have you been doing this? I was like, today. And like, I've never done this. And then he just kind of was like, oh, you kind of have like a knack for it. And then he helped me build like a 5-minute set. And then from there, I did that set on like the showcase, which was essentially like a dance recital. It was like all of our friends and family from me and the other comedians there. And like, I just had this rush of energy. Like I never played sports really growing up, or I did, but I wasn't good at it. I think I shot at my own goal twice in soccer. So, you know, friendly fire was on that game.
Right.
But that was the first time I felt like I had like a game-winning catch or like a home run. Like it felt like this rush, and it felt right. So I did that, and then I started doing stand-up. And then when I went to college, Vine came out, and then my buddy Jorge, shout out Jorge, great guy, just got married. This is your wedding gift, me shouting out on Iced Coffee. And he's like, dude, you got to make Vine. You got to make Vine. It's like, this is where funny people are. And I was like, I don't believe it. And I start scrolling. Sure enough, I started seeing funny people. And I think I was just like, all right, I'll f around. And I lived in a frat house at the time.
Sure.
So it was super easy.
What year was this, by the way? This
This
would have
was
been like 2014?
2013, I believe.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. And I think I just like, I was making videos, and then like other guys in the frat house would see me like make a Vine. They'd be like, dude, I want to be in one. So I had just like a disposal of just like roaming, just a revolving door of frat guys. Be like, yo, cop one. And then I had one kind of hit, and it didn't do anything for me, but I got recognized going to class one day, and I was like, Papa's made it. San Jose State legend. But like, I was happy that Vine never got really big for me, because it just showed me how a video can work. You have an idea, you post it, bombs. You have an idea, post it, bombs. Oh, but this one gets a little bit of traction, gets to share it. You see how the internet works, kind of that snowball effect. So at that point, I was a sophomore, and I was doing Vines all sophomore year, junior year, and then towards the end of junior year is when I got really back into stand-up. And I was doing like open mics after class, and senior year, moved out of the frat house, and I was like doing a good amount of open mics, and then just moved straight to LA right after, and just.
Yeah. Were you getting paid for doing stand-up shows, or were you just doing it for experience?
No, you just there's really not a lot of money in stand-up in the very early days at all. You pay like $7 or like a chicken finger, and like I literally in Ventura one time got paid with a bread bowl, clam chowder.
No way.
Yeah, right next door there was a place called like, what was it called? There's a place with clam chowder essentially right next to the Ventura Harbor Comedy Club back then, and the guy's like, "I'll get you a bowl of chowder." And I was like, "Fuck."
Now, what was it like your first time going up on stage?
I like blacked
front of a
out.
crowd,
I
really?
remember like the first laugh, and I always try to get a laugh as quick as possible on stage, because that like sets the anxiety and like that anxiousness. It just kind of locks you in.
Sure.
So the first time I got a laugh, I was like shocked on stage. Like I said, I forget what it was, a quick joke.
Yeah.
And I get this like little laugh, and I was like, oh fuck. And then like I just picked my head up, and the 5 minutes flew by.
So how does it work? Do you have a whole set that's just memorized, or do you kind of wing it? Do you ever wing it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say in my head, there's like, picture like a Spotify playlist, and there's, 40 songs. And I stick to these, but sometimes I'm like, oh, let me pull from here. But in the back, there's like a skeleton of like starting to middle to finishing jokes. And then kind of like I can, like if somebody in the audience yells something out about whatever the horse is, and I go, oh, dude, I have a horse bit from 3 years ago. Now I can you know, you make it seem seamless. Somebody's like horses, and then you do your bit on it. People are like, this guy's fucking Shin Lim over here, dude.
Huh. That's smart.
Yeah, so it's just all keeping it in your head. But I mean, I essentially have like what I normally start ish with is like this chunk, and then I end with this chunk. But I think the on the fly stuff is the most fun.
Yeah.
And what kept you motivated to post on Vine when you probably weren't making any money from it, and it was probably a grind?
It's just addicting. I think it's just fun. I just like, I mean, it's literally like the same reason you walk up to the casino. Dudes are just on the slots. You put each poll as a video, and you go, "What's it gonna be? A dud. What's it gonna be? Ooh, this one kind of hit. We got one of the slot machines to light up. You know, it's like when you don't get jackpot, but you get one of the big ones. You're like, oh, close.
It's funny you described it like that. That's exactly how it is for me with posting videos. It's like you see how it ranks 1 out of 10. Be like, got a 1 today.
Of course.
Or it's like a 10. Be like, gotta do it again.
But that's what the difference between stand-up and videos is for me, feeling-wise, is stand-up is instant. You say something, either the crowd's like, we fuck with it. It's not like somebody's like, they get together and they come back and they're like, that's a 7 out of 10 joke from us. So stand-up instant.
Yeah.
You feel it. It's reciprocated. There's no faking that. But videos, it's like, you know, you post something, then the algorithm's like, is this go against guidelines? Is this good? Is this bad?
Yeah.
Sometimes shit pops immediately, but now like I'll have a video that'll like kind of like do okay, and then I'll like pick my head up, and a couple days later, like kicked up in the back end, or it flopped in the beginning, or it hit right off the bat. Like there's too much waiting for videos to really feel the response from the audience.
It's interesting.
Comments always are good to, you know, if you want your mental health to be good, read comments.
Okay. No, I absolutely stopped reading comments.
I read all the comments.
I am done reading comments. Yes, for any YouTubers watching,
I
read the comments.
It's good.
What do they say about because podcast fans are the best fans in the world. What do they say?
They could be
about you?
touchy about some of the guests that we've had on in the past.
Have you had problematic people?
No, it's just maybe people that
Like we have had problematic people on the podcast, I would say.
Yeah.
But the thing is, just because someone's problematic, I don't think like there's any reason to just like not let them speak. You know what I mean? Well, to a certain extent, but I still think that it's good to challenge your opinions on everything.
Yeah,
It's fine. I mean, the edgy guests get the most traction and the most views. We've had some of the clips get like 5-10 million views, and people are like, "I hate this one."
Well,
But it's like it's got 10
people are
million views.
commenting because they agree or disagree. But if somebody's just a wholesome guy, you know, if you have Neil Patrick Harris on here, everyone's like, "I love this guy." You know, that's all the comments. But if you get somebody who's edgy, you're gonna get the people that are like, "I love this guy," and then all people are like, "Why the fuck would you have this person on?" So you get both sides. So.
But I'm curious for you, because you mentioned YouTube in the videos. How do you balance what you want to make with the YouTube's algorithm and pushing the content that might be, you know, little on the line?
I essentially just make the stuff I want to make, and if it gets demonetized, in my head, all views lead to something greater. So if the video gets demonetized, all right, somebody who's a fan of that video might now want to do a brand deal. You know, I try not to let the little green dollar sign next to your video or the yellow like demonetize or like limited monetization get too much in my head, because I have such a catalog of videos over the past 5 years, if not more, that it's like if one video gets flagged, then you go,
But now, what if it's not just getting flagged, but what if it's not getting recommended? Because now it seems like that's a big thing where YouTube is just deciding not to push certain videos.
Yeah.
And so you have to tailor that if you want to reach the audience.
I mean, it's unfortunate because you put a lot of work into it, and you never really know until you hit post and publish how it's going to do. Sometimes it's unfortunate. You're just like, damn, all right. But I'm always like, what's next? You know, that's what I like about stand-up and videos. It's like, if a joke bombs, you go, okay, I'm not going to sit in this moment and be like, damn, I'm not going to just, you're just going to be like, what's next? How do I keep going from here? What's the next joke after? So if a video doesn't do well, if it's not getting pushed, I go, all right, whatever. Maybe it'll get picked up in 3 months. Keep going.
Yeah.
But also I just, you know, if the video's 5 minutes, you have a couple clips for TikTok you can post from that. So I'm like, something will hit.
Sure. What was that like for you moving to LA? How were you supporting yourself back then? Was it just through comedy?
So I had a day job. I lived in a pool house in Studio City. Studio City. Yeah, it was a pool house. It literally, my best friend's older brother's friend. Let's see if I got that right. Best friend, older brother.
And then he has a friend.
His friend, was living at this house. And then one of his roommates was recording just guitar stuff in the back in the pool house, and just randomly was like, I think I went to go out with them one night, and they're like, yeah, dude, you could rent that for like $350 if you want. And I was like, sold, because my other two friends that I was going to move in with were like, we're down, but we won't be there for like 8 to 9 months. So I was like, let me just get out there already. Slept on an air mattress, but it had a inflatable headboard.
There you go.
Ladies.
Nice.
Never
Yeah,
once
yeah.
brought a lady back. I had crickets as literally would come over at night. Literally, there was a gap this big in the door. Crickets would just come in.
You didn't
The
think to
ambiance
close
was
that
great.
off, like put a towel on there?
No, I liked it. It was like the free calm
Okay,
app.
got it.
Right,
Nice.
right. Some homies.
Yeah. So, what was the question? How did I get here? How was I supporting myself?
Yeah.
So I was doing that, but I was also working 2 internships. One at the Groundlings, which is an improv theater. A lot of big actors and stuff have come out of that. And then I was also working at All Def Digital. Do you know them? They're
No.
a big YouTube channel. They're not as big anymore, but they did a bunch of. It was all comedy and music. It was ran by Russell Simmons. So he did like Def Jam comedy back in the day. This was his version. It was All Def Digital.
Cool.
So they were putting me in videos too. It was like comedy stuff, and it was some like unscripted stuff, just like kind of debates and stuff like that, and then also sketches. So I was doing that. I was doing the 2 internships. All Def Digital eventually brought me on full time. Then I was a paid intern, and then I was salary. Stopped working at Groundlings, and then I was just I think I was making $40K a year at All Def Digital, and I was pumped because my rent was $350, so I had like some money. And then I was just doing open mics every night. And Vine had died at this point. I wasn't really making too many videos. It's like 2015, and then Facebook. I was like, Facebook's going to be big for videos, Facebook and YouTube. So I started making videos again in like 2016, 2017. That's when I had this one character about Zoomies, the skate shop, kind of hit. And that hit on Facebook and YouTube. And then I was like, all right, there's that same feeling I had when Vine hit. I was like, time to double down. All right, here we go. I'm feeling the momentum again.
And
what was your
then
sk-
things
yeah.
just took off, like, or was it more gradual?
No, but I always think about my career as like a fire, and it's like you want to keep throwing logs on the fire.
Sure.
So each video is a log, and I was like, okay, I have a little spark here with the Zoomies character. Let's just keep throwing wood at it. Let's keep growing this. So I did like probably like 7 or 8 videos as this like Zoomies character, but then I didn't want to be pigeonholed. I don't want to be like kind of like cornered as that. So then I started doing a little bit different ones, but I'd do a few, and if those didn't hit, then I'd go back to the Zoomies one as like a fail safe. But at that point, like it was a slow growth, and then December 2018, I think it was right when the AirPods got big. That video,
yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
that
That
video.
video-
Dude, that like
so that
blew
video got
up.
posted on like it blew up.
Yeah.
It was on like Reddit front page, and then WorldStar reposted it. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was at a coffee shop in Camarillo when I saw WorldStar repost it. And I was just kept refreshing my Instagram, and each time it'd be like a couple more hundred followers. And that video gave me like, I went from like 60K to like 85K on Instagram. And at the point, I'm in Camarillo at a coffee shop. I'm like, somebody give me a latte. What's on WorldStar? But Camarillo, California isn't the demographic for WorldStar to imagine. So
But it is for AirPods.
it is for AirPods. Yeah.
How'd you come up with that idea?
It's just like everybody was kind of like, I was just tired of my friends just being like, it's just
Walk us through the bit a little bit.
Yeah.
So if anyone
Essentially, it's
viewing
just
doesn't
like-
know.
AirPods were really the first kind of like Bluetooth headset or headphones that like really, it wasn't even about the quality. It was just the look. It was the short white stub that was like, is a fashion statement.
Yeah.
People were just wearing it and not even on the phone, not even listening to music. It was earrings for dudes. Every fucking tech guy had those, and like that with a vape and a Patagonia vest couldn't tell me nothing. On a bird scooter with AirPods in,
Oh my God.
unstoppable.
Yeah.
So I think I started to just hear people talking about it. There was a few like memes here and there, and then I was like, dude, I can make a character out of this. And then it just did that. And then I just pictured like, what would this bag? And every character is just an accentuation from me.
All right.
People see me like, this bag. You're right. I'm not hiding it. I was in a frat. I've had the same haircut since I was like 9. Like, very much. I understand what I am. So I just accentuate that, and then I go, what is me at a 10? If a 3-level bag is me just vibing, posted up with the air mattress, how do I accentuate this? So I had like a jean jacket with like a turtleneck on, and I'm just riding. I was in Santa Monica when I filmed that video. I had AirPods in, just riding around. And I just was like, how do I just keep going with that? And then that did well. So I did like a parody after that. And then what was great is they kept dropping AirPods. Year later, they did AirPods, the Pros. So I go, all right, same guy, we're doing Pros. Year goes by, AirPod Max come out. Guess what's going on? And look, it's fun because it's people almost like look to me. I would get tweets and people would be like, the Pros came out today. I'm excited for the video. And that's the best thing is like when people think of you before the video's even out, like this dropping, when are you dropping? So, it's fun. And I did it for all the AirPods, and, in 2024 when they drop the new ones that are exact same, but have a different shape, like octagons now, I'll make another video.
Do you remember how
It's
much
so
you
fun.
made off the first video? 'Cause
I
I'd
don't.
imagine like Facebook would pay pretty well on something like that.
I wish I do. I remember my first Facebook check.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't real. I didn't believe it. And then I looked. I feel like this is a clip coming. I know how this works.
This is the clip.
Subtitles right here. I remember the first Facebook check I ever got was for $30,000. And I was like, I was driving and I had the biggest smile on my face. I was like, there's no way. There's no way that this, like all these videos equal to this. Like I thought it was going to be like a Facebook was going to be like roughly 30K. And then you get it and it's like $14. You're like, what? And they're like, taxes. And you're like, how the fuck? But I was like mind blown. I was like, how is this? And I remember the song Paid in Full came on. It's by this guy Safe and Cardi. I think it's Safe. And I was just blasting the song just because it was so, it felt the theme. Like it literally came on when I checked my account, Paid in Full. And that was like when things were on. My Facebook does not make that now. But this is when things were on. And I was just ecstatic.
So when did you quit your job?
I quit my job in 2018. I worked at All Def Digital for like 3.5 years.
Sure.
And I remember I like asked my parents. I didn't really ask them, but I like told them. I was like, all right, I'm quit my job to do comedy. And I was like very nervous to do that because I had mentioned it before, and they were always like, yeah, for sure, but definitely they have health insurance. Stay there, Kaiser, Gold, Platinum, good stuff. And then when I told them like 2018, they were like, yeah, we knew this was coming. And then after that, I was just like, let's. And
what was the catalyst to you quitting?
I had a friend, Kev on Stage, my mentor. He's the guy that worked at All Def Digital, one of my favorite comedians, funniest guy. He was about to leave. And I was like, Kev, I want to leave too. How much money should I have in the bank before I leave? People say that you should have like 3 months salary or this or that. And then I told him how much I had in the bank. And he's like, and you're still here? Like, leave. You're fine. You'll be all right. And I remember that moment after. I was like, yeah, this guy has a wife and 2 kids. And if he's telling me that that's enough money for a single guy living in Santa Monica, like, I'll be all right.
Were
How
you
much
making
was
more
it?
from...
We got to know how much that
Sure.
was. You
All
can't
right,
just leave
go
us
ahead,
hanging.
Graham.
It wasn't even an insane amount for... What will you guys guess how much you think I had?
I'm going to guess
70K.
single guy. Yeah, I was going to say like 60.
60.
Yeah.
60K. 60K in my bank account.
That's plenty.
And that was that was after some months of YouTube and Facebook, and also just saving up money from All Def Digital. I didn't spend money. When I moved out of the pool house with my friends, and I lived with 2 of them, and one guy paid $900, one guy paid $1,000. I paid $800 for my room, and that was my only coverage. I had that, and I paid off my car. I had a Mazda 3 Flex.
Nice.
Paid off my car, and I paid $800. But everything I did was either YouTube or stand up. So I was working and then doing YouTube and stand up. So all 3 of those were generating not a lot from stand up and some from YouTube, but when I saw like checks coming in from YouTube, I was like, this is the same amount I'm getting for 2 weeks pay at All Def Digital. Like, I think I'm good. I left, and then I think I was starting to tour with some, and then it was the summer of 2019 where like 3 videos back to back to back just all like hit. And then I was like,
Which videos are those?
it was a Kyle video, just making fun of dudes named Kyle.
I remember that. I like that one.
The Hometown Bro video, and then of course the infamous White Claw video. All 3 of those were like, me and my friend Chad Turdleys, if you know him, best guy. It was like this era when I bleached my hair, and like every video was hitting. So whenever it was bombing on YouTube, I'll like text Chad and be like, "F going blonde."
That's funny.
It's like, it just felt like, but that summer is like,
Dude, you got to do frosted tips.
Yeah.
I feel like that would
that would
really like take you
blow
to the
up.
next
Yeah.
level.
Hookah
It
show.
really would.
Yeah.
I'd be down. Frosted Tips go hard.
Like
They
the
do.
guy stuck in the 90s, I think would do so
yeah.
well.
That would be funny.
That
Yeah.
young Lance Bass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The CD
I
player.
have an NSYNC t-shirt. I bought it at a thrift store.
I think that's a banger for you.
Oh, then yeah, guys stuck in the 90s
Yeah.
get the Jinko jeans.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much those 3 YouTube videos must have blown you up, though, because when you did, like I said, when I came to the UCSB thing, I did not expect it to be as big as it was. There
right.
were hundreds
trying to
of
humble
hundreds
you,
of people there. It was crazy.
Yeah. Well, what it is, and I tell this to every YouTuber, is like the fact that, and this goes for the same thing for music, is like I had a back catalog. I've been making videos since like 2017. So we got 2 years on me of making videos, and I was doing a video every Monday, right? So there's 2 years. So when these videos start popping, they can now watch these videos, but then also backtrack and they listen and they watch and they just binge. And that's how you lock in a fan. Because if I had no other videos, people watch one video, they go, that's it. There's nowhere to go.
Right.
But the more, it's like when you find an artist.
Yep.
You find one song of theirs, and you listen to an album, then another album. All of a sudden, you're 3 Steve Lacy albums deep. You're like, I fucking love this guy. But if you just had one song, you'd be like, that's cool, but when's his next project? And then there's a lot of pressure on that next project because it's, but if I have 50 videos behind me, you can click through 50 of them, and sure, you might like 12 of them, but those 12 you'll love. But I think it's just, so keep creating, and you don't want your first shit to hit. Build that catalog, build that library, so when shit does hit, people have shit to pick and choose from.
I'm curious, what's your creative process like? How do you come up with these ideas?
I think just being observant of what's going on around you. The trends are all around you. It's just really, the White Claw thing came to me because I used my buddy Jason as like he got fired from Deloitte for drinking too much. Like he's like my demo. Deloitte, finance, whatever the fuck he was doing over there. I don't really know, but he was a guy who told me about like pickleball. He was the guy who was like
Pickleball, Jack
you
love
nutted for that.
I'm
That was
crazy.
Zoom in on that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he was the guy who first started drinking White Claws in the Santa Monica apartment. I remember the way he was describing it. He was like, dude, these are sick. They're like epic. Like you feel like drunk, but you feel skinny. You feel like lighter. And he went to Santa Barbara. What frat was he on? Phi Sig, I think.
Huh. Yeah.
But interesting response.
I wasn't in frat.
No judgment, Jack.
I believe that word
Yeah.
is GDI for that. That's what the frat guys would call you. I forget what it stands for. Anyways, but he was my barometer. He was the dude. He had a hydro flask. He's the reason I made a hydro flask video. He was like my perfect bro, right down the center of America. Because he felt just like what a mixture of just all the people in Los Angeles, but also kind of just like Central America. Like he just felt like he was the guy I could base anything off of. So he always had a hydro flask. Boom, make a video off that. He always was drinking the White Claws, and I was like, all right, let me try one of these. And then I started getting more into it, and nobody had made a White Claw video, and that was like, it felt like, I think a trend is like catching a wave. I don't surf, but I would imagine this is what it'd be like. It's like it's building up, and if you get in at the right time, you ride the out of it. But so many people jump on when it's already breaking. There's a lot of people paddling. The same thing. I made a video on Tiger King, and I was one of. I'm not to sound like fucking Soldier Boy over here saying I did it first, but I was very early in the Tiger King parodies, and then that hit, and then people pushed it out like 2 or 3 weeks after the series was big, and it it's all about just getting in right before it breaks.
Yeah. And what's your team? Well, that was your creative process. Yeah. So just watching this guy.
that was my barometer. That was my
Whatever this
barometer
guy
very
does,
early
He's a
on.
moneymaker. You gotta
Yeah,
hire him
he's-
full time.
But now
Dude,
it's like
what is he up to now? Curious,
he lives in Austin, Texas, as
Nice.
most guys.
Nice.
Who
you got to make
follow
an
trends.
Austin, Texas
He lives in
video
Austin,
now.
Texas, and he's starting a brand. And I swear this is not a lie. He's starting a brand about what's it called when they ship stuff to you on a regular basis?
Drop shipping? Oh no.
But
Subscription type?
a
Subscription businesses?
based jerk off lotion. I swear to
No.
you. I swear on my life. I swear on my life. I swear on my life.
So it's a
This
lube,
guy
or is
is,
it
Jack
specifically
wants
for?
details.
I don't know
I'm just,
what it is.
I'm just saying.
I
Like,
don't know what it is, but he's like, he's so funny, man. He'll like text me and be like, I got an investor meeting coming up. This guy was on Shark Tank. And I'm like, this is all for lube. He'll send me like the photo of like the product and the branding. And he's like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So he's making jerk off lotion in Austin, Texas.
He's doing well.
I think so. He's definitely moisturized. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
But
This guy is your ticket, man.
yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
I love him. I was one of his groomsmen at his wedding. But so he was like the gold mine. But I'm like, so his name is Jason. I go, where do I find the Jasons in the world? When does this come out, by the way?
Sunday,
Could be
probably.
this Sunday.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I have this video coming out, and it's just about like guys with like dangly cross earrings, right? It's just one of those things. You look up at a club.
Funny,
and
I see them everywhere
That's
now.
what- and that's
What
so
is
So
going?
able to pick these things out.
that reaction is exactly what I want in a video. 'Cause
It's funny.
somebody
I've
goes,
noticed it everywhere, but I've never like put the two and two
notice
together.
it, but
Yeah.
you never bring it out.
Correct.
That's the reaction I want on all the videos. It's like, dude, people do that. I moved Tesla. They all these, and I have one. I'm an idiot. But every Tesla owner, for the most part, I'd say, and 80% of them have a custom license plate. And I've been sitting on that idea for so long. They're all customs, like LOL gas.
Oh,
and
dude, I got to show you my license plate.
what do you have? What car do you have, by the way? How much money do you
Tesla.
have?
Guess. Well, what? Like liquid
3.2
or
mil.
liquid, or what?
I don't know, man.
Just net worth,
It's the
right?
fact that you said liquid alone lets me know that you have millions racked up. The strobe lights are going off over there.
So here's the license plate.
Elon Musk. God. Wait, this is a Tesla?
Yeah.
It's the Roadster.
It's the Roadster.
Is that new?
It's
No,
the
it's the old
original
one. That's a
Roadster. Yeah, they
2010.
haven't came out with that.
2010.
Elon Musk. Dude, I would take a photo of your license plate if I didn't know you and be like, this fucking guy. In the video,
guilty,
it has like,
yeah.
Elon, I'm about to bust, you know?
Oh my God.
But I essentially made a video just because I kept seeing him everywhere. And I worked it into a stand-up bit. Then I go, this is funny, but like the visual of this is, that's how I decide if it goes stand-up or video. I go, is this more visual or is this more of a story? In the visual aspect. And then now people tag me and they'll be like, no gas here, gas, LOL. And it's just like, now I see him everywhere. And that people will tag him and me. That wasn't a sentence. People will tag me in it and be like, yo, I fucking see this shit everywhere. So it's like you're bringing something that people have seen but haven't talked about out. And they go, yo, I have seen that.
That's incredible.
So 3.2 mil or what are we talking?
Oh, I need to know what's the context. Like,
I don't know.
Liquid, you got it.
Everything.
Assets or net worth?
This
You got it.
motherfucker.
It's details.
Just
here.
everything.
Answer the question.
I don't know what the question is.
Everything.
Try to.
If you had to.
Net worth is
Net
what it
worth?
is.
Net worth. There we go.
Yeah.
18 million.
What the f are we doing in the karaoke room?
I don't know.
Why are we
man.
not recording
Yeah,
at Steve Aoki's
That's why it's
kitchen?
18. You don't spend money like that.
That's
Smart.
a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. What's your net worth?
Not that. I don't
What
even
is
know.
it?
I wish I knew.
Oh, you know,
gotta
right?
know,
You
man.
gotta know.
Here's what's fucked up. So you're gonna clip the part where it leaves yours out, and I'm over here like, 10 mil, and you're like, clip it. I don't know.
Just that part.
I'm buying a house in like a week, so I'm nervous. It's fine, but after I buy the house, it's not gonna be fine.
How much is the house?
The house is like 1.7.
LA or California?
Yeah, LA.
Okay. How much?
So it's a
how much are you
studio
putting
apartment.
down? It's a cardboard box.
Yeah, 20%.
Okay, that's about standard.
Do some math.
Very
We
big.
could, we could do some math on that to
Yeah.
run the numbers backwards.
Right.
So you get a $1.5 million loan on it. No, it's
Yeah,
about
yeah,
1.3, 1.4.
Your background is all housing, right?
Yeah, it's real estate. So seven.
was the
So your
biggest-
Real
so your
estate, that's
payments.
so funny.
Yeah, so your payments going to be probably around $7,000 a month mortgage plus property tax.
Yeah.
So that's going to make it about $8. So
I pay.
So you're making more than $25,000.
oh yeah,
which was
minimum
obvious,
30.
like without.
Yeah, bro.
Minimum.
Which was
Who the fuck
right,
do you think
right,
I am?
right. Technically, from the lender's perspective, right?
Dude, I'm wearing Kith shorts, bro. I'm out here.
What do those cost?
I don't know. These were sent to me.
Didn't look.
I'm kidding, dude. I'm
Yeah.
not. I don't spend crazy. I'm not like anytime I have like I wear something like jewelry, I go, this isn't me. I'm not. You know, like anytime I like post anything nice, it's a character, and I'm like being like, yo, guess who got it like that? And then the next thing is me at a fucking Norm's eating steak and eggs, but the steak is like $8.
Right.
Like everything I post is like a joke. I never share like personal life stuff. I never share what I'm going through. I'm always just like, how can I make this water bottle funny?
why don't you share like more personal
People don't
stories?
care.
I think they would.
I think if they listen to my podcast, they're very tapped in.
Yeah.
They're very in the now. Stiff socks. 18 mil. It's crazy. I think people, if they listen to my podcast, they know the full versions of me. They know what I'm going through. I've had my dad on the podcast. They know exactly who I am, where I come from. But I just like, when it comes to social media, I just want people to land on my page and be able to laugh. And the second they land on there and I'm over there being like, my cat Mittens was my everything, they're like, cool. Now I'm sad. You know? So I keep that stuff. And,
Sure.
and instead of posting it and getting likes from people about my life stuff, I just go to therapy. And I fucking crush at therapy, you know? So I don't know. It just feels like when it just feels, and this is not a great stance, but it feels like when you go to like an Instagram models page and you're like, nice ass. And then you click the next one. She's like, here's what's wrong with Biden. You're like, God damn, what is going on here?
I get it.
I just want to see,
Some pictures, yeah.
yeah, you know, what does Tulum look like? Why is every girl in Tulum? I want to go to Tulum.
I agree with what you're saying.
All
And that's
right, I
kind of an
get that,
epiphany
yeah.
that I had in the past few months is like try to be a force for good and like optimism and happiness just in general. Like even if the negative stuff, okay, I know I'm saying this right next to Graham, but like even if I could say some like negative stuff or be mean or whatever
Which
and it
is
would
what?
be funny.
What negative stuff would you say about Graham right now?
Well, I wouldn't say negative stuff about Graham.
Yeah, because he
But
makes
just like
$18 million. Papa's keeping
He
the
knows.
lights on.
He knows better.
But just in general, like being a negative person for comedy or whatever, or like if I'm with my friends, I feel like even if it's funny and it gets a laugh or whatever, like at the same time, like it's probably better just to be a force for good and just try to be an
Yeah, and
optimistic guy.
There's
It's
no
like
right
more
or wrong way to do it. Like I'm not saying like if I go to some chick's page and she's expressing her political thoughts, that's not wrong. It's her page. Who am I to say that she can or can't do any of that?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, me personally, I don't want to involve any of that. Plus, also, one thing, I think Marshmallow is the smartest DJ in the world because he has zero personal identity. He's just a figure, right? You don't associate any thoughts with him that are like, oh, that's just this guy from that place, or he looks like this, so he gets like you just
get that.
see. It's just a guy. Like it's not even a guy. It's just
It's a character.
It's a character.
Yeah.
So when people go to my page, I want people to have the same thoughts. They're not like, whoa, this guy's leaning left, this guy's leaning right. Like, oh, this guy hates this or hates that. It's just like
That's smart.
It's just one. It's just a comedy page.
Yeah.
And I think that, yeah, I don't know. I'll like post like random stuff, but like I'm not gonna like.
I'm always curious.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you have to uphold this character that you've kind of like presented yourself as? For example, coming on this podcast, do you feel like you have to be funny, or if you get recognized by a fan, do you feel like you have to be that character?
No, I think you just have to be nice, human, just personable. Because I think like I was at some event last night here, and this girl was like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "Oh, I do comedy." And then the best response that every comedian loves is, "Really? Tell me a joke." No,
I was gonna say that.
It's
I was gonna be
just-
like, make me laugh.
I know, but that sounds like very like you're a king and I'm a jester and you'll kill me if you don't laugh. Like make me laugh, comedy boy.
Laugh.
And I think if you just give me some time and you talk to me a little bit, you'll find a way to laugh. You'll find something funny. But like, make me laugh is a very like knock joke.
What do you say to that?
I just say no, or I'll be like, dude, I'm at a fucking we're at a karaoke bar right now. This is not a good setup for this.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just every comedian is like least favorite.
Do you ever worry about the jokes that you're saying and maybe it gets you in hot water? Because it seems like comedy in general is moving more towards like a safer place where you can't make certain jokes anymore. Like it seems like the jokes that were made 20, 30 years ago are just unacceptable now.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of err on the side of like, you know, in the same sense of like what I was saying a little bit ago is like, I don't pick a side where it's like you could watch me. I think anybody could watch me and find whether they like it or not. They don't watch me and be like, yeah, this is funny if you're blank. This is funny if you're blank. You know, if you're Republican, you'll love him. If you're this or that, like I'm right down the middle. I don't talk politics. I don't talk anything that would like make people feel a certain way. Because again, my whole goal is for people just to laugh, just take their mind off of what they're going, whether they're on a 5-minute break, whether they're on a breakup, whatever the fuck. Like the amount of messages I get of people like that are deployed in like Afghanistan, or they're going through a breakup, or they lost their dad, or something. They're like, hey, your comedy helps get me through that. That's all I want. I don't push the envelope in a sense of like, you know, tackling crazy issues or saying wild stuff. It's not for me. All I want is laugh. And the second you get too edgy, you know, there's people who will love you. There's people who are very successful at that, but that's just not for me. I think I'd rather go broad audience and just cast a bigger net.
That's fair. What's your team like? Is it just you? Do you have an editor?
I have me, a main editor, John, best editor I know. I used to edit all my stuff until like 2019. John came on, and then it's me, John, and then another guy, Kyle, who tours with me, and he films all the stand-up. And those are like the three that kind of make it work. And then I have an assistant. And that's really it.
Why did you start your podcast?
I had been wanting to do one, and I was with this guy, Michael Blaustein, who's the other co-host, and we were at an open mic in LA, and we just hit it off. We were just talking because this was right when I was about to quit my job, I think, where I had just quit my job, and he was doing a bunch of college gigs. And as a stand-up comedian, in the early days, college gigs pay the best. They're like, they just, for whatever reason, they don't know how to price comedy. They're like, here's $5,000. And at the time, you're like, that's insane. So he was like he was doing colleges. And at that point, I was so young in stand-up. I was like, dude, like, how do you get these college gigs? And then I was starting to pop on YouTube, and he goes, well, how do you get these views? And we're going back and forth. He's telling me game on like stand-up side. I'm telling him game on videos. And we had like a 3-hour conversation at this coffee shop in Koreatown after this open mic. And the next day he called me, he goes, do you want to start a podcast? And I was like, yeah. And I'd already been thinking about it. So it was a perfect storm. And then we just met at a coffee shop in Culver City, and then we just pitched ideas back and forth. For some reason, Stiff Socks just stuck.
Who came up with that idea?
I think I want to say Michael. I think we were going back and forth. Like I said, like sticky socks, and he was like, "What about stiff socks?" Like it was an alley-oop type thing.
Okay.
But yeah, that's always funny about the name. It's like people will like get close. They'll be like, "You're sticky socks, right? Come Nikes,
socks,
come sock. What is it?" I'm like, I'm with my father right now. My dad's like, stiff socks. Check out my episode.
Can we break down the business of things a little bit? Like if you were to
Sure.
have a pie, you're gonna make each piece, assign it each a percentage. What's your income look like on that pie?
That's a great question. I would probably say podcast. Dude, it's pretty like, I'd say the big three are podcast, touring, videos. And I would say podcasting and videos is about the same. And I'd say 40% videos. No. I'd say 50% is videos and brand deals in one category. And then 25 touring, 25 podcast.
It's pretty good for the podcast.
Podcasts are doing well.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man. Again, podcast fans are the best. They're just supportive. We have a Patreon, and that's got some people on there too. And it's just people who really enjoy listening to us.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed. I think podcast listeners, they connect with you on a different level.
Oh, dude, it's
than
insane.
just like watching like a YouTube video or something like that, which is
somebody
nice.
like come up to me on the street and be like, "How was the dentist today?" I'm like, "What?"
Yeah,
And they're like, "Oh, I heard in the episode today you went to the dentist. The one in Culver City." Yeah. Yet they thought it was a cavity, but it wasn't. How was that? And I was like, I forget that I just project my entire life for hours upon hours every week on Apple and Spotify and everywhere. And then I just forget that people listen. So when people reference that, and even when shows, I'll like on a show, or on a podcast, I'm like, dude, I love sour Skittles. Next show, people are like, I brought you sour Skittles. It's just
That's cool.
It's the coolest thing ever.
I'm always amazed at people that wait at 9 a.m. We post every Sunday.
Yeah.
And if we end up
that's for the
posting
fucking
like
hustlers.
at like
That's the
if
rise
we
and
posted
grind
at
crowd.
10 a.m., there are people like, yo, where's the podcast?
Of
I'm like, I'm
course.
waiting for it.
Of
I
course.
feel so terrible because
Blame
I'm
it
like,
on
you're
the producers,
waiting.
as everybody
Blame
does.
it on. It's always Jack's fault. I'm ready. It's Jack usually that.
Yep, it's always my fault.
What are you
Jack's
doing
fault.
at 9 a.m. on
Me sleeping. No, it
You're
sucks.
not
'cause
rising and grinding is what's
I've never
happening.
said this publicly on the podcast, but I have to be up every single Sunday morning at usually 8:15, which is unfortunate
Oh, no.
because it's the morning after Saturday.
Oh, dude,
come
you
on,
just
Jack.
18 million.
I'm just
Get
saying it's the
fuck
morning
up.
after Saturday, which this has been the last 2.5 years,
Something like
so
that.
I've never
We
been able to.
both of us though.
You uploaded
Both
it?
of us are.
Well, we work together on it. Yeah, so we're up talking title, thumbnail, and everything. So it's like
usually
I've
what we
never
do-
slept in on
yeah.
a Sunday, which I know sounds like sure I'm complaining about nothing.
You know who else is sleeping on Sundays? The Christians.
That's true. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe I should. Yeah.
I love how you're like, I've never said
We
this publicly, but
frantically-
I don't sleep in on Sundays.
I wish
a
I
big
could,
deal.
man. It's
that,
for
dude.
me. It's like I want to
Dude,
sleep
people
in
are
on a
gonna go
Sunday.
off
Dude,
on
one
you now.
on Monday,
People are
you
gonna
know, you can
blame
sleep in on the
me
fucking
now.
Bitcoin you just
Yeah.
earned from a brand deal.
Then everyone's gonna be like, Graham doesn't let him sleep in on Sundays. He's
No,
such
no.
a
This
controlling
is
person. Like everyone's
it's
gonna do
a
that.
mutual decision here. We were
I
in
don't
this
sleep
together.
in either.
Oh, dude.
It's
So-
Jack and I at 8 a.m. every Sunday morning going back and forth on title thumbnail. We could do this the night before, but there's something about the morning of where it's like that
there's a
panic
deadline.
mode. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Where you
feels like-
have
It's
to
the
come up with
panic
something
mode.
good.
Yeah.
The day before, there's not that sort of urgency to make it perfect.
Right.
But when it's 15 minutes before and we're going back and forth over text over what
It does
title's
feel
the
kinda
best.
nice.
It does.
Yeah.
And then you get it and then you just anxiously watch to see how it performs.
Mm-hmm.
And then we tinker.
This one will bomb for sure.
This was gonna blow up.
No.
The
yeah,
clips-
dude, but that,
yeah, the
I mean,
clips
the
are
amount of
crazy,
times
yeah.
the morning, I think for videos, they either do best in the bright early morning before people are checking their phones at breakfast or right after work, 6 to 7. And there's times where if I need a video to go up, it's it's the same thing. I wake up at 7, I click post on Facebook and YouTube, because if it's getting out there, because sometimes I forget which one you can't schedule on Instagram or TikTok yet, but I'll get it out on there, go back to sleep, because I would rather the people on the East Coast see it versus it's okay, I get up at 10. People on the East Coast are like, dude, it's 2. I don't even math. It's 1 a.m. 1 p.m. Cut that.
1 a.m.
It's 1 p.m. They're they're on their lunch break. They're in
Yeah.
a meeting. They're seeing the video, but they're not watching. There's no subtitles. It's a whole, I always think about when are people listening and watching with sound on? Early morning, end of the day.
Yeah.
Middle of the day, people are at work. So you have to
Lunch.
yeah, but even at lunch, it's loud, and they don't have headphones. If they don't, you know, so it's like, is it subtitled? Is it not subtitled? I was just thinking about like, yeah, just watch people's behavior as they scroll. They're on a subway, they got headphones. Sure, if they do, might be loud. Is it subtitled? You know, if somebody's just eating at a Sweet Green by themselves, they don't want to play it out loud because that's insane. So they're just kind of scrolling, just right. So you're like, when do I want to post? What's best for people around the world?
Sure.
You go early morning, late at night.
Yeah.
It's interesting you post and then go back to bed.
Of course.
What's your schedule like? Do you have a normal, like a work schedule that you have to like get stuff done?
Yeah, Monday we record the podcast. Tuesday I'm usually writing or doing like pre-production stuff for whatever we're filming that week. Either film Wednesday or Thursday. I mean, there's just like miscellaneous stuff. But like every week I try to put out a video and a podcast. That's like bare minimum.
Yeah.
So everything that gets plugged in around that is either like meetings or collabs or filming with other people. Tour is tough because there's a lot of traveling. So your week is like really Monday, Tuesday. And you like fly out Wednesday or something, or varies by a day or so. But really just that, you know?
Do you ever get the feeling that you could be doing more?
Of course. I mean, yeah, it's like, you know, you watch one interview with Mr. Beast and you're like, what? Do I even try?
Yeah.
You know, and I think his Rogan episode, if you're a YouTube guy, listen to it. It just fucking, dude, I thought I had good insight on videos. This guy is getting people from different countries to voice over what he's saying, but he's getting like popular actors in that country. He's got different channels for different countries. He's just like global.
Yep.
And that, I think he says in there, it's like 10% of the world speak English. I don't know what that is. Don't quote me. You should never quote me. I don't know much. I learned from Snapple lids, but he's like 10% of the country speak English. So I was like, dude, that is 10% of the world. Sorry. You're like, you are limiting yourself to so little stuff. And then the second I watched the interview, I hired another editor, and I was like, do I need a producer? Do I need a writer? Am I good enough? And it just made me want to expand. Yeah. So every time, you know, I see something like that, or Eric, he's great too. Yes. He's fucking blowing up right now, but he's doing the precautions. And you meet him, he's got a big team, he's hustling, he's doing everything. He found the formula. So I see guys like that, and I go, I need to one up it. But it's a different side of YouTube. I think sketch comedy versus what they do is like, they're just meant for the masses. Yeah. It's just like, it's very clickable. It's just, you know?
Yeah. Do you think some of your videos would translate well into other languages? I'd imagine it's maybe only a sliver that another, language could understand or another country could relate to.
What is interesting, because like, for example, when the White Claw video came out, I did a show in Canada. They didn't have White Claw there yet.
Really?
People were like, we've heard about this thing. What is it in the States? But then once they got it, I started getting messages like a small bump of views went up, and people were like, dude, we finally got them. Now I relate. So that's a good question. I think something global like AirPods maybe, that would translate. But I don't know. I think I just make what I know best. And I think whenever I try to go too big or too like out of my element, I feel it. And so do the viewers, and so does the video. You know, it doesn't feel authentic to me. So
could always do American stereotypes in other countries.
Of course. Yeah. And I think, and America is also a massive place too. Yeah. So I'm very fine if somebody in Brazil is like, I don't understand this shit. I'm like, well, I guess somebody in Connecticut does. You know, I'm not trying to like, obviously global the better, especially with like reels and shorts, because they push that all over.
Yeah.
So I do try to keep it somewhat relatable and all that, but I'm doing as best as I can. I'm doing what I know.
Yeah.
I did a video a while ago. It was like, when people from LA visit New York, and I'm like, that's great because it encapsulates both, East and West Coast and everything in between. If you've been in one of those cities.
Yeah.
So like that to me, I was like, cool. I'm getting both sides of the country.
Yeah. And what about for stand-up? What's your process like for like writing jokes and how do you test them out to make sure they're funny?
So I write everything in like a notes app or the voice memo, and I'll just like talk it out. I've been doing stand-up for like 9 years now. Like at this point, I at least know an idea could be funny. It's just finding how to get it out. It's like the idea might be funny, but the execution's not. Or it's like the idea is whatever, but the execution, like flip vice versa type thing. So I think I just like, I'll usually put new stuff in the middle of my set. If I'm doing like 15 minutes at the Laugh Factory, around 7 or 8, I throw out a quick premise. If it bites, keep going. If not, then I'll be like, okay, do I want to battle this? But sometimes it's like what I think is funny isn't funny, and what I don't think is funny is funny. Like I'll say the premise and it doesn't really get anything, and then I say the next line and then that pops, and you're like, oh, I was wrong. I was betting on myself here, but the audience was betting on this. So there's no way to know unless you really try it.
Yeah.
So I always just throw up new bits, and I think I just, as long as it's in my voice and I'm passionate about it, people will listen.
Yeah.
You know.
It's interesting. You're kind of coming up with a lot of stuff just off the dome when you're on stage.
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
try to see something, see if it bites, and then if it does, you can
Yeah.
proceed. Which is
fascinating.
Does it ever make you like nervous whenever you're on stage?
No, because
and you get in your head.
I think it's like, it's like. I just like, it feels like the same thing you would and I'm not comparing stand-up comedy to the NFL, but like you wouldn't like, it's like asking an NFL player, be like, do you think about the 70,000 people in the stadium watching you? You're like, no, they're just locked in. Like there'll be moments where I'm performing and I look up and I'm like, damn, there's like 2,000 people watching me right now. And then I get right back in it because I'm just like in like this like mode where I'm just on, and it's just like, nothing matters. I'm not worried about taxes. I pay mine. I'm not worried about anything else but performing in that hour. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm not like, there's no like outside thoughts, and I'm just like, it's
That's
on.
really
It just
interesting.
feels like I'm just like,
Did you ever get stage fright?
of course. And the only way
yeah.
to get rid of stage fright is just by just
bombing.
doing reps, just doing it. Of course, dude. A stage presence is so much of. Somebody told me this. I wish I remember who. It's like, if you don't believe in your own jokes, why would the crowd? Like if you're up there being nervous, the crowd's gonna be nervous. Unless your energy and your jokes give off that like kind of like nervous shy guy like Mitch Hedberg or something, like would make sense. But if I'm up there and I'm like hiding behind the mic stand, fumbling over words, there's no confidence. But if you walk out there and you like own it, it's gonna help a lot. People are gonna be like, this guy at least knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's bombing comfortably is what's happening, but he knows it. So, but it just takes reps. It just takes time to figure out and again, I don't think I'm some stand-up guru, but I do think it's just repetition. That's like a message. I always look for answers in life. And I think when I was coming up in stand-up, I would like email big comedians. I would DM them, be like, dude, what are the answers? How do I do this? What is the secret? There isn't really one. It's just, and I'm sure you guys have found this in really whatever, whether it's podcasting or just really anything. It's just doing it.
Yeah.
Just getting out there in the reps.
You've bombed before, I'm guessing, on
Plenty.
stage. What's that like? I've always wondered. I can
Dude,
imagine
you get
that
really
it's gotta
hot. You get sweaty. Time slows down. I mean, it feels like an edible is just hitting, just on repeat. It's terrible.
Jeez.
It's dude. I have bombed in front of my own crowd too.
like, and you just said it's
How do
just
you
like,
recover from that?
Yeah,
'Cause
I
I feel
feel
like
like
then it's a downward spiral where it's
Yeah.
like, oh
Well,
shit, I just bombed.
There's two
Now
ways.
I feel all like anxious. I would bomb again.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like there's two routes you take, and I did this very much so in the early route of my stand-up days. I'd be like, I'd blame it on the crowd, which is not right to do. I'd be like, oh, what? Golden doodles aren't funny? But
See, I'd laugh at that.
yeah. And that will get like pity laughs. But honestly, the thing is, only you know how the joke goes. So if you just go to the next joke after, the crowd won't know. And you ask somebody after a crowd, hey, how was the show? Loved it. What was your favorite joke? There's like you said something about like popsicles or something. That was like what people remember out of an hour versus what the performer remembers is so
That's true.
different.
Yeah.
We'll always beat ourselves up. I'll be like, show was great, but this one fell flat. So now if something doesn't hit, I just keep going. And
But now I'm curious, could that be the audience or could that just be the joke? Like, could you retell a joke to a different audience and they love it?
because there's a vibe of the audience
course.
too, right?
yeah, and there's like literally there's like I think there's almost like a beginner's luck with a brand new joke. Like you'll like tell a random joke at somewhere, like you'll do it on the road on like Des Moines, Iowa, and it murders, and you're like, we got a heater. Then you go back to LA and you do it, and it doesn't hit, and you're like, is it the crowd? Is it a bad joke? Did it only work in Idaho? Like I have this joke that I do about Amish people because I just saw some in Indianapolis, and I was like mind blown. And dude, it murdered in the Midwest because they have Amish, but you do it in LA, people are like, what? Do we have those again? Amish people? Which ones? Honey, do we have those here? So it's really just about trial and error.
Sure.
And I don't know why jokes get knocked out of my set or jokes get put into my set, but every once in a while, that's what I was saying earlier. It's like you have this huge repertoire of jokes. And then sure enough, I'll probably stop doing that joke at some point. And then somebody somewhere is going to yell something that correlates to the Amish. And then I go, boom, got a zinger for you. if I'm just starting a show and I like walk out on stage and somebody's like, fucking bitch, like it's so startling. I think if I'm in the middle of my show and I'm like I'm moving, I'm grooving, I'm in the energy and I'm feeling it, I'm locked in, and somebody yells something, I'll fucking fire back. Yeah. Some of them miss, some of them hit. And when it hits, it goes crazy, but like, because the crowd is watching you, everybody can script their stand-up and then you do it, but that's all off the dome. Yeah. That's all raw in the moment. That's why those moments get the biggest pops. And the clips that I post on TikTok of crowd work moments are like, those sometimes go crazy because people are like, damn, that's like the funniest thing I had was recently in San Francisco. On our podcast, we talked about how do blind people watch porn because it's an educational podcast. And I'm finishing up the San Francisco show, maybe like 5 minutes left, taking a sip of water, and this girl goes, blind people do watch porn, you know. Crowd gets tense. And I realized that the lady who yelled that was visually impaired. And I go, okay, how do we address this? And then I just go back and forth. And I just think if she yelled that in the very beginning of the show, I'd have been like, what, where do I even go from here? Yeah. But I think I was just like warmed up and that happened. And it just like this, you couldn't expect that. And it just like, I had so much fun with it.
What did you say?
Well, she said something and I said, oh no, I'm over here. And that got a big pop. But I was very respectful about it. Before I did it.
She's at a comedy.
How did you think to say that?
I don't know.
Like, I would be too concerned about like offending her, like saying the wrong thing.
And I think I always do it without malicious intent. Like I'm not like doing it like rude or like, and I preface the clip. I say like, hey, I am dumb. I do not know what's going on. Are you visually impaired? And then she said something. So I'm putting myself out there being like, I don't know. I'm dumb. Are you? And then she said the thing, and that's when I said, I'm over here. And that just hit. Yeah. And now everybody, and that laugh is nice because everybody's like, oh, we're having fun here. You know, if the crowd is laughing, she's laughing. And I talked to her after the show, and she was like a sweetheart. She like loved it. But
I'd be so tense in that moment because I feel like if you said the wrong thing,
that's the
cut
whole thing.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, and it's not like and again, I'm not like attacking.
Yeah, sure.
Like she yelled it out at me.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a volleyball. It's like lobbing balls in your court. And I say in the clip, I'm like, I feel like this is the Lord testing me right now. You know, like, do you want to have another show tomorrow night? So I kind of like preface it. And then what happens, the clip is crazy. I mean, it's afterwards, a guy goes, she's explaining how visually impaired people watch porn. And then this guy in the balcony goes, too long, like saying her explanation was too long. Yeah. And then I start getting on that guy. I'm like, she's blind, not deaf, you idiot. Like she can hear you. And at this point, it's just utter chaos. Yeah. And it's just like, after I got off stage, I was like, that was insane, right? And then I was like, oh, dude, fucking, yeah, that you can't, like that moment you can't recreate.
Yeah. You got to start putting blind people in the audience so then they can heckle like that.
That's rude.
Is it rude?
I don't know. No.
We're going to clip just that,
yeah,
Jack.
Please, yeah, do that.
Don't clip that.
Sweater Man talks about blind
cut that
people.
Out, man.
Oh, no, God.
Could you plant hecklers? And then, like, do people do that?
I'm sure people do. Yeah, but, like, dude, you couldn't. There's no way you'd feel good about yourself after that.
Right, yeah.
And that's not a good crutch. Because then what if that person gets COVID that day and you're a big closer? You're like, anybody on a crutch here? And then they're not there. And you're like, I said, anybody on a... And then you're looking at the tour manager like, where's Ruben?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
You in the back. You're on crutches, right? Like,
yeah, you could make it up.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, there's...
Sure,
I think,
bad idea, sure.
I mean, comedians lie all the time. Yeah. This happened this week. That happened 4 years ago. They'll be like, well, today I was... No.
How often do you think that stuff's actually true? I've always wondered.
Yeah, I hear some crazy stories from comedians. I'm like, does that actually happen?
I think something close, like something like a guy will have a wild story, and it's like a kernel of it is true. Like a beginning thought, something sparked that thought, and then they accentuate it. Or some of it is. Some guys are like Joey Diaz. I believe everything that man says. You know, I don't know if you know him, but like he's just like a Jersey mafia guy. And like you hear him and you're like, I believe it. And you can usually tell by the logic and people talking about it. You're like, this seems like it has a little logic flaw in it. But so I mean, it's all accentuated.
I got one final question I've always wanted to ask a stand-up
about
comedian.
Blind people, Jack?
It does not have to do with blind people.
Good.
It's
because I love them.
I've always wondered, because I've been to quite a few stand-up shows with a few comedians that I adore, right?
And who are those comedians?
Should I say? I'll say it.
I
Yeah,
mean,
sure.
that's why I
I
asked
went
the
to a Chris
question.
D'Elia show, and I went to a Theo Von show.
Love Theo.
Yeah, and I'm at these shows, and they're funny, right? Like I laugh and everything. But when I listen to their podcasts, it's just like a whole different type of laugh. I think
There's
that
no pressure. There's no crowd. There's no audience.
you
can
think
be
that's what it is. I've
100%.
always thought that comedians in podcasts are like 100 times funnier than they are on
pressure.
stage.
Theo's I love Theo. He's one of my best friends and just so talented. And he gets in his head a lot because when he's in a studio, he's just with himself.
Right.
He's comfortable. He's in his own space. And then there's 2,000 people. It's hard to be yourself when you're performing. You're a performative aspect. So I think it's just that.
I think it's also like the calculatedness of going up on stage and the fact that every joke is like pre-written. So it's,
I mean, dude, imagine this podcast. If there's 2,000 people here, it'd be a totally different podcast.
Yeah.
Imagine recording any YouTube video when there's 2,000 people watching.
right.
You know, if somebody sneezes, you're now thinking about that.
Yeah.
If nobody laughs when you tell a joke, you're thinking about that. If everybody laughs, now you're thinking about that.
Yeah.
So
I'd
the
imagine it'd
podcast
be
world is
harder.
like, you're not doing it for the laughs. You're just talking to talk. You're just talking from what you know best. And then you don't know that there's people, you know, in their car or at work or at the gym laughing to it. You don't know. Like we post our podcast. You guys post your podcast. Nobody knows when they're laughing. Sure, you can read comments. 3701, hilarious. But in that, you're not performing. You're just talking. And
Yeah.
that's what makes people connect with podcasters so much is they're not putting on a performance. They're like, this is just me speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Let's talk about your house really quick. What made you purchase a house? Done with renting?
I was done with renting. It's like, I've never loved the idea of just throwing money at a landlord. And like my landlord's like, just a chill Venice bro. And I'm like, there's no way my money's going to good use. It's going to Adderall and just longboards, just Sector 9s. Fucking, he's a great dude. But I don't know. I just turned 30. Everyone thinks I'm like 21, just turned 30. And I'm like, dude, you know, if this is the one big change I make at 30 is start, you know, a mortgage and having some assets.
Yeah.
Big word. You know, that was it.
Sure.
And I was looking, and the tour just ended. And I was like, you know, after the tour, I want to focus on that. And I saw one house. The first house I looked at is actually this one. And then I checked out like 15 or 20 more. And this one was like, I would always relate it back to that house. I'd be like, this one's sick, but it doesn't have what blah, blah, blah had.
Got it. And how long did it take you from the time you saw the house to make an offer? It sounds like you saw 20 homes. It doesn't happen in like a weekend.
We made an
really.
offer like that week.
Cool.
But we lowballed the fuck out of them.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What were they asking? Probably 2 something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we went on like 1.5. I think I was like, no. But the lady I'm working with is like the real estate lady I'm working with. She's great.
Who is she? Give her a shout out.
Jessica.
Jessica what?
I don't want to say her last name.
Why?
She's mine.
She'd love it. She would.
Oh, yeah.
Real
Jessica
estate.
Felix. Jessica Felix. She's
Okay.
great.
Yeah.
But she's like, it's all like kind of dating. She's like, you put in an offer. The seller immediately says no. Ghost. Go away. 3 weeks. Then he's going to be sitting there like, why the fuck would they put that offer in? They did put an offer in. They're interested, right? Should I respond? Should I DM back? Should I be seen? And you kind of meet back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then it's like, then you kind of 3 weeks go by and you're like, hey, just want to know if you guys have that offer. Here's a new offer with slightly more money, but more asks. And it's just like this bag. It's all a mind game.
But you did that over the holidays, right? Like Thanksgiving through Christmas. That's a really slow time for real estate. So sellers
slow.
Basically, to have a home listed at the end of the year like that usually means they have to sell or they really, really want to sell.
Yeah, which I don't know if it's good or bad.
Worse for you.
Worse for me?
No, it works. It works for you, yeah.
I love how you just looked me dead in the eyes. I thought you were like, yeah, worse for you.
They really got to dump that property.
And everyone's like, it's going to drop. Housing's going to drop. Housing's going to drop. Everyone's saying like 2023.
I think it's a risk. The luxury market in LA, so like above 1.5, has taken a huge hit. So
You think
that's
it's going to drop pretty low?
No, I could see it. I could realistically see like a 10 to 15% drop. I think the luxury market, like 25 million and up, I could totally see like a 20%, 25% drop in the really high end market. Yeah. But I think over 1.5, I think probably a 10 to 15% drop is probably the worst of it. But the thing is,
But like you think it's fine to buy right now? Like it's not insane.
if you're planning to keep it for the next 10 years, I don't think it makes a difference.
Okay.
If you were just going to say, well, I'm going to live there for a few years and then sell it, I'd say, no, it's better to rent.
No. And
But the issue is that it's the interest rates. Is that right now the monthly payment is still higher than it was at the peak. So when real estate was at its highest, it was earlier, really a year ago.
Yeah.
But when you account for interest rates, the payment now is still higher, even though housing prices have gone down.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the trade-off. So they'll be like, you can buy now, houses are cheaper, the interest is crazy, and then keep waiting. And I don't know, I just don't want to stop paying for my lease. And
I don't think it makes a difference. If you're 10 years from now, chances are you'll make money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty simple guy. Like if I find a place that I like, I'm not going to be like, this is cool, but like I need to be closer to Nobu. Like I don't care. Like I just need a place where I can work out of. And that's what I loved about this place. It just had this dedicated spot where I was like, this is a great office. I can have me and the 3 people I work with, like meet up here. We're writing, we're editing. It's collaborative. Because all my friends where I work now, I'm in the west side of town, Los Angeles. They're all in the valley. And it's like, I'm done with WeTransfers and Dropbox. No. I need to be over the shoulder and like trim that, add this, do that. Like
that's
that.
Cool. There's something about that in person that I do feel like is incredible.
That back and forth that's how it's like when me and John meet up to edit. Like we'll just meet at our podcast studio, and the ideas are just bouncing back. It's so much faster versus me writing it out, hoping he understands my notes. I'm like 301, make her come in sooner, but this and then louder car, Ferrari, vroom vroom. He's like, what is this? But if I'm there, I'm like, okay, let's have a car come in. It just bounces off.
Yeah.
It's like it's so much better just to be collaborative in the same space.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks
I think we're
That's
good on
good.
time, right?
We're out of time.
We're good. Okay.
I actually got one more question.
All right.
Trying to catch a title right here. Okay. Trevor, what is the most that you've made in one day?
You know, I made a few people smile, and that's all that matters to me. I'm not a money guy.
Bless up. Yep.
Meet the man who makes people smile.
Most of the
Makes
day,
people smile.
12 mil. I honestly have no idea.
All right. There's
I
your title.
I can't look at money every day. I also lose my head. Because I'll be like, oh, my views are down. My views are up. You know, as long as I can pay for my rent and
Now your mortgage.
yeah, which is scary. Scary. Like,
Now the bar is so much higher.
Yeah, I don't know. There's got to be something in the title or in the episode to talk about.
We got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Still make it too clickbaity.
Cool. Oh well, no, we'll
We'll
go
run it by you. We could run it by you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Let me know.
Thank you so much for coming
Appreciate
on, Trevor.
it. Yep.
Nice re-meeting you. And
Time.
yeah, cool.
4 times the charm. Thank you guys so much, and until next time.